Kenyatta International Airport, straight to our Citizen TV studios. Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen is here with us. Thank you for making time. So this is happening again in just a few months. You were there in November last year when there was similar leakages, and you said pretty much the same things you're saying today. How difficult is it to fix a leaking roof at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport?
First of all, I don't think the pictures did justice to show the infrastructure that is going on. You've seen that on top of the existing airport, especially Terminal 1C, on top of it, you've seen we are constructing a new arrival terminal, and we have built a new roof. And the contractor is on site, and the progress is going on. So I was very impressed today with the progress that is going on at the airport. Amidst all the noise, we are now going to decommission in the next few months Terminal 1E. You see the tent, where the arrival tent that has been of great embarrassment to all of us, because it's a tent that was intended to serve for 2-3 years, and it has stayed for many years. So my visit in November, between November and now, the work that has been done by KA is exemplary.
All right.
So it is not what it was.
But still,
the leakage that you've seen, if you see the leakage that you've seen there, again, I want to repeat the words I've used there. People are being hyperbolic. This was just a small section where water came in for about 20 to 30 minutes, and it was sorted, because as the construction is going on top, and that's massive work, some of the infrastructure is, because it's old, it gets affected, the pipes and so forth. So one pipe got affected, and that's why it leaked. And we cannot say outright it will not happen. But what is the difference between then and now is that the maintenance policy of the airport, which we put in place, is now working with emergency staff stationed within the airport being able to clear the drainage. And therefore, there is a difference between the time when I came to office and the old confusion that was within Kenya Airports Authority. I told people that the whole institution had been mismanaged. Almost everybody at the top was acting. The policies for maintenance was poor. The issues of electricity and lighting was a problem.
All right.
I am not saying that we will not have a blackout of 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or that we will not have a leakage, a corner here, there. It will happen. But those are small things that happen in any existing institution.
But small things can sometimes have big impact. So you say it was 20 to 30 minutes.
Yes.
Sorry, allow me. It would seem that this would be something simple if you're saying, let's not get into hyperbole and that sort of thing. But if it is so simple, why does it keep recurring? Because in November, let me remind you, and you even put together the technical committee.
Absolutely.
6 months ago, gave you the report, and you were to fix a number of things: leaking roofs, water reticulation systems, terminals, railways, including the drainage. And so for many people, and today you've been there and you said, okay, we will put in gutters. So allow me, is it so difficult to fix leaking roofs? And do you think it is an embarrassment? Because for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 30 minutes, is that acceptable for you? What's the standard of acceptability?
I don't think that. First of all, I think the reporting is hyperbolic.
Okay.
Yeah, that for sure, 100%. Are we doing something? Of course. If you saw the work I have seen today, a complete new roof is being constructed, something that has never been done before. We are building a new arrival terminal at the Terminal 1C on top of it, for people who understand what's happening at the airport. And as I have promised, the roof for that, on top of that terminal, the new floor that we are constructing, the roof will be complete in 1 month. Surely, in 6 months, for us to have been able to reach a stage where you complete that roof, this is exceptional. In fact, our staff at the airport made me today very, very proud. Number two, do I deny that there was a leakage? Of course not. Does it happen in our homes, in our buildings, in our airports? Yes. What is the policy? No, wait. What is when it happens?
The cabinet secretary. Hang on.
Can I complete that?
No. For 1 second.
Yeah.
When it happens in the home, we will ask who is in charge in the home.
Absolutely.
It happens at JKIA, which is under your jurisdiction and your mandate. So my question to you is, what's the standard that's acceptable? A 1 minute leak, 20 minutes, 30 minutes? What's your threshold of standards?
Should there be a catastrophe or a leakage or a burst of a pipe or a blackout because something tripped or there's a massive flood that has never been seen like that's happened and happens, it should be the shortest time possible.
And what's the shortest time possible for you?
Well,
because you said it was
depends.
20, 30
if it's
minutes,
electricity, if it's
and we
20,
were,
30 minutes is definitely short. Even 1 hour. Even for me, 1 hour.
For you, 1 hour is
1 hour would have been short.
Okay.
Because, first of all, you need to know this. It never interrupted any services at the airport. No services were interrupted. People, you can see even from the videos, people were moved to continue being checked in on the line as we fixed that the water leakage. And as I told you, the difference between when we came to office and now is that people were stationed within the airport to respond quickly. Unlike the time when when I arrived and a power blackout took 24 hours and all that kind of thing. Do we promise that even when we build a new airport, there will not be a catastrophe? Of course not. But the question you always ask yourself, what is the emergency response policy that you have? What policy do you have when you have any problem to respond to that challenge? The problem with why I talk about hyperbole is that when there is such a leakage, you see that video that's running, it's not even lasted 1 minute. The video is not 1 minute. But in terms of the story, you know, it creates an impression in somebody's mind that it's been leaking for a whole day or for a whole hour, it stopped to work. Even if you see here the reports that are being made.
So what would you prefer? That if somebody sees a leakage, would you prefer they don't video it, they don't show it?
No, not at all.
Are you trying to suggest that this should not be something that
Not at all. People have a right. I am a lawyer.
Yeah.
They have constitutional right. They should do it. They should do it.
Right.
But to take the problem is to amplify a small story and make it's everything about the airport. The airport is that section of the airport is not 0.00001% of the airport. But then for someone to make a conclusion that Jomo Kenyatta Airport is useless, it's backward.
Who said that?
It is. No, I'm just saying.
Who said
at least not you. For someone to sing that song continuously, you know, as if that is the only story you get from the airport, is really unfortunate. You see, Yvonne, we must learn something. You know, running with a small section of a story. For the time we've come to the airport, we've done immensely well. We have been able to put a policy for, as I told you, for maintenance. We've sorted the question of power blackouts at the airport. For the first time, something which should have been done in 2014, we are building a new terminal on top of Terminal 1C. We are going to decommission in another 6 months or so. When we complete this terminal, we are going to decommission Terminal 1E, which has been an embarrassment, and we create space at the airport for future construction.
You do agree.
We have made great progress on the procurement of construction of a new terminal. If you ask Kipchumba Murkomen whether I have confidence that we are making progress on re-engineering our old infrastructure, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, I'll tell you yes. Am I confident about the pace? I tell you yes. Am I happy with the team that is working there? I tell you 100% yes. We are making progress every day. And let me tell you something. Kenyans, and particularly someone who has never had an experience of running an institution, it is not enough to go to internet and get the best pictures of airports, other airports in the world. You need to ask yourself a very fundamental question. How much money in the budget has been allocated to Kenya Airports Authority for construction of airport? You need to ask yourself, how much resources do you have in the budget before you say you can get anything you want in this world, but it must also be preceded by proper resources.
Okay.
I have told Kenya Airports Authority, the country is going through a difficult moment. We are spending 1.3 billion to pay debts. We are spending 1.2 billion to pay wage bill. We are spending another 400 billion to pay county governments. That gives you about 3 trillion. It was the first answer was 1.3 trillion is for us to pay debt, 1.2 trillion to pay wages, and then another 400 billion to pay county governments. You have not talked about even construction. That is 3 trillion against resources we raise as our country, 2.8.
Okay.
2.8. No, that's an important point. Let me conclude. 2.8 trillion.
Right.
As a nation, we must live within our means. If you have a facility like Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, you don't have the money You ask yourself, the little money you have, you will not continue taxing Kenyans. You cannot borrow. How do you use it? How do you fix? No, I'm saying, no, it's not just a leaking roof is a small issue.
I understand your point, Cabinet
You ask yourself, how do you progressively improve your infrastructure within your means?
Understood and explained.
Yeah.
The question I have for you, the last one on it, is this. For many who would wonder, if we can't fix small, little things, like leaking roofs, how do we...
I don't think, Yvonne, I think you are also falling into the trap.
No.
No.
Allow me to finish the question,
if you keep, despite our explanation, if you keep going back to, we cannot fix
to it, CS, because it is an accountability question.
Okay.
The question
Let me hear your accountability question.
The question is this one, CS. If you cannot fix little things repeatedly that keep on happening, why should Kenyans trust, in fact, that even that new terminal that you say you're building, that the road infrastructure, and we'll get to that in a minute, it is the little things that matter. You've said 1 hour for you of leakage at a section of the airport is acceptable. And so one then raises the question, if small little things cannot be fixed, and it takes you going to the airport, not once, but twice, actually several times, to go and tell them, Waziri, to put in gutters at the airport, which is what you said in that report. Why should Kenyans trust that with the bigger issues and the bigger projects, that is something you're able to do to greater satisfaction?
I don't know what part of the story of the news you followed, but I was at the airport not to go and fix the roof. I was at the airport.
Did you need to go and tell them to fix gutters?
I was not at the airport to tell them to fix gutters. Okay. That's not true. That is your own story. I was at the airport today to inspect the ongoing construction of a new arrival terminal at the airport. It's a big project. It's bigger than fixing a leaking roof. So the leaking roof issue was sorted a long time ago. Okay. Today, I was at the airport to see the progress of a project I launched and I instructed the airport to construct in November last year. And if you saw my clips, I told them, well done for a good job that has been done in the shortest time. And I'm very proud of the work that is being done by Kenya Airports Authority. And particularly very proud of them because of the resources they're using to do the work they're doing. I want to tell them that as your cabinet secretary even sitting here, the things that I set in place, the task force that we put in place, and the instructions I gave for fixing the lights, for fixing the roof, I am very proud of them. Was there a leakage the other day? Of course, there was a small leakage at the corner there. Was it sorted? It was sorted in less than 30 minutes. Is that a good record? Very good. Can we move? Can we sort it even more faster in future should it happen? Yes, of course, because for the first time now that we put in place a policy for maintenance, which has been lacking. In fact, the only institution that has a fairly proper maintenance policy for its infrastructure is Kenya National Highway Authority, which is Kenya. And I told Kenya Airports Authority, you need to borrow from Kenya a framework agreement for making sure that you have a standby emergency people, even if it's fewer resources, even if it means that person is paid after time, you respond to these emergencies. And I am let me repeat this, I'm very happy with the progress we are making. Where we are going in the future, I know you've said, oh, are you able to go to fix? Of course. If we are able to build a new terminal with the little resources, with the PPP program that we are procuring at the moment, I have no doubt in my mind that because we have to be innovative, we don't have the money. I have no doubt in my mind that as soon as we get a private investor to work with us in the building a new terminal, in the next 3 years, as we promised the people of Kenya, we will have a new terminal at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. It is doable because the people who are doing it, including myself, are passionate about what we want to do, and we want to leave a mark at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Remember this, Yvonne. This is an airport that was built before I was born, way in 1978. And I need to repeat that. This is an aging infrastructure, 46 years old. We are patching here, reconstructing here, helping here, and so forth. We have an opportunity to do a new thing. And behold, this is the government to be able to deliver that new thing.
Okay, time will tell on that. I want us to talk about Kenya that you talked about, and particularly the situation with the roads in the country due to the ongoing floods that are being experienced. Waziri, can you give us a situation report of what's going on? How many roads have been affected? Which ones have been affected? And what's the status of those?
I wanted to, first of all, use this opportunity to pass my condolences to families, friends, people who lost their loved ones, and to wish quick recovery to those who got injured because of this situation. Earlier on, when I was speaking to my colleague in Interior, the latest report is that we've lost 169 people. Yesterday's estimate, as I spoke to the people of Mai Mahiu, at that point in time, it was thought that it was over 200. But the record that is actually captured is 169. We have 98 people missing. So that gives a number of, should the people who are missing be found to have died, you can see it's closer to getting to 300 people. We have 150,000 people displaced, which is about 30,000 families. We have potential of 200K if the rains continue in the next 1 week. We have 5,000 acres of crops destroyed. We have 300 small and medium-sized enterprises, premises, and warehouses which have been lost. And we have 30 schools which are severely damaged, where the Seven Forks dams are full. For the first time, the report we were given in cabinet today is that for the first time since 1990, Masinga and Kiambere are full, posing greater danger in Garissa and Tana River. And you've seen from the pictures, Garissa actually is fully, flooded, Tana River flooded, and now it's going to what do you call Lamu. So we have a challenge, and as a result of this massive flooding, our infrastructure is affected. I saw a member of parliament from Garissa saying that I should have stopped, the flooding from Masinga and so forth. Let me tell you, Yvonne, the size of the catastrophe is monumentous.
All right, CS.
The bridge of Madogo, between closing to Garissa.
Yes. Before we get into that, please answer my question. How many roads have been affected?
That's what I'm coming to that. So I needed to just have the situation analysis for everybody. I mean, since I'm now here and from government, it was important to paint that picture. But the roads that have been affected majorly in the northeastern part of the country, particularly the road that goes to from Garissa towards Garsen up to Lamu, that's the most affected road. The road between Madogo, the bridge that crosses to Garissa town, that is the one that you saw the problem we had with the boat. The road that has also been affected is the Kainuk from West Pokot going to that side of Turkana. We have also had a lot of problems within Kajiado, particularly even tonight we have closed the road that goes to Magadi because it's prone to flooding and so forth. We have also been roads majorly in Nairobi city have been affected, including small crossings and bridges that would have helped people to cross from one end to the other. The extent of the damage of this road or the areas that have been affected is, of course, yet to be assessed in terms of the financial implication. But what we've done, there is even a bridge somewhere in a place called Tot in Elgeyo-Marakwet County that collapsed. So all this damage is going to be quantified in terms of financially, because at the moment we are unable to restore until the rains are over. But what we are doing is to restore crossings only, not reconstruction of the road. And I am very happy with what Ken has done. I want to thank our framework contractors because we have not paid them. We have told them just to do the work so that we see how we are going to deal with them on an emergency basis because of what has happened. And because Ken has existing framework contracts, it's very easy to work with these framework contractors across the country. I am happy with those contractors and Kenya team because they are working even at night. Last night we had some debris that blocked the road to Narok, and they removed it in the middle of the night. And I want to thank them for the team that we are working together. We have not assessed, of course, rural roads all over the country with smart slides, with the Maram being swept away, with bridges being swept away. They will still have compiling the extent of the damage of infrastructure across the country. Of course, it includes the airport being flooded the other day because the roads in Nairobi carry a lot of waste and also debris that blocked some part of the drainage. You
had asked for slope management to be done at the airside. Has that been done?
No. What do you mean, slope?
slope management at the air side.
No, drainage.
To prevent the,
yeah, drainage generally. The air side.
I'm asking about the slope management.
That's okay. No, the drainage, the real issue is the drainage, not just slope management.
Okay.
The slope management is not an issue at the airport because it's flat.
All right.
The main issue is draining the water from Nairobi City.
Okay, in the report that was presented to you, there was the issue of proper slope management at the airside to protect the runway, to prevent sinkholes.
That is Mombasa. That's not Nairobi.
Okay.
That's Mombasa. Mombasa is already...
Is that underway? Is that being done?
It needs about 3 billion. So we need to first request Parliament to give us a budget. We have a problem with slope management at the airport in Mombasa. It's been caving over time for the last 2-3 years. So we are trying to see the engineers have already proposed a lot of work to be done, and the estimate was about 3 billion. We're still working with Parliament to see if we can get the budget for that. But at the airport of Nairobi, there's no problem of slope management.
Okay.
The airport of Nairobi, just like the city drainage system, needs a massive overhaul for us to be able to protect ourselves as a country from the flooding that comes from the existing Nairobi rivers draining to other river.
I'd like to ask about the roads, and there's one you've mentioned in particular. That's the Nairobi-Garissa road, and particularly at Madogo area. Waziri, why is it that the people of Garissa keep suffering this time and again? They've been cut off from essential food supplies and medicines. So right now, and Kenna in their advisory over the weekend talked about the road being closed. Now, this road was closed again on the 8th of April this year, following, again, floods. The road was reopened 2 days later after it had been closed due to that. Kenna said they had undertaken repairs to the damaged section.
Correct.
It's been closed this past weekend. It was closed again on the 8th of April. Waziri, it was closed again in November 2023. Why aren't you able to fix the Garissa-Madogo road?
Do you know what is closed, Yvonne? Do you understand what's happening in Garissa?
Explain to the nation.
No, I just want you yourself. Have you acquainted yourself?
I am asking. That's why I'm asking.
The water that is in Garissa bridge is twice the height of this room. No bridge can handle that kind of... By the way, let me tell you, the flooding that is going on in Garissa, and I hope, we are going there with Duale on Thursday. I hope you will... I wish we can go together. And we can create space for you.
I hope you can go with the rest of the Kenyans as well.
Let's just go with you, with your cameraman.
Okay.
What's happening in Garissa, and many Kenyans just see the news, that is a lake. The sheer amount, the volume of water that is there would have engulfed the entire this area. And what is the reason? Because apart from the rains, when Masinga and Kiambere Dam discharge, you know, the entire, I'm sure, I hope it was covered today, the entire Tana River, forget about Garissa town alone, the entire Tana River is submerged, the houses are submerged. And this has been a problem for many years. The only solution that was proposed was that if we were to build high-ground dams below the Masinga and Kiambere ones, it will control. This is not even a conversation of whether the road can be fixed or not. This is beyond the road. What should be done all the time, and it was done this time round, and I want to appreciate people of Garissa. People were alerted in good time. The Minister of Energy issued the directives early. The Minister of Interior did a very good job to make sure that people are moved. Most of the people are moved near the river, and at least we did not have people dying as a result of floods getting them unawares.
Okay.
The only reason why we lost so many people is the boat that was trying to cross that particular section.
Understood. So the residents of Garissa, some of whom are texting me tonight, are asking, so you say this is a problem that is of
it's not about the bridge now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hang on. They're asking if this is of great proportions, and you, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of infrastructure, is saying, you know, well, so what solutions then exist? And one resident of Garissa is asking, kindly ask CS Murkomen why he has not visited Garissa and Tana River, where 14 people are still missing. Zero support from the government, only Kenya Red Cross carrying out the rescue operation. And so for this one, then the question is, the area is known, Tana River floods, the Seven Forks Dam usually overflow into this road. So how do you make the Garissa-Nairobi road at Madogo area more resilient, knowing the area, knowing the water bodies around it, the dams? Because the solution is what you are required to provide, CS.
I don't know if I can make myself abundantly clear. Even after we fix the infrastructure, the road itself, and put the most beautiful whatever, when Masinga and Kiambere Dam discharges, it's not, I've told you, I don't know how to explain to you further than that. The sheer amount of water that flows there would have to flow above the bridge and above the road. That is not to say the road will not be constructed.
My question is, how do you make it resilient? Because you know all of this. And Waziri, you are the one charged with giving and providing answers and solutions.
That's where I'm going.
And so my question is, once again,
if you allow me
so
just
that
1 minute.
I can be abundantly clear as well with my question, would be, how do you make this road resilient, considering the conditions that are there? It's not enough, Waziri, to say, well, there's nothing we can do, the waters will overflow it anyway.
I didn't say there's nothing we can do. No, not at all.
Tell us.
The first resilience we have to do in that road is to build a dam. Before we talk about the road, we need to build the high ground falls dam so that it can hold the water, slow the water. That's to make sure that we sort the question of flooding of Tana River and Lamu. As for the bridge, just for the information of people of Garissa, the contractor was already awarded the contract. He is ready to come on site and to do the construction.
Of the dam?
No, the dam.
Of the road.
Of the road.
Yes.
The contractor is already on site. But how do you make, and I think that your question can then be extrapolated further, how do you make our infrastructure resilient to climate change?
Question. Yes.
Because that is now, and I think we were with you in one of the World Bank meeting that we were discussing.
That's right, yes.
Now I've just remembered. We're discussing infrastructure resilience to climate change.
Yes.
We have a problem. This will be the problem for the next many years. The planning that we must have now, that's ongoing in the ministry at the moment, is to make sure that when we rebuild infrastructure after such floods, we make sure that we build resilient structures in terms of the material we are using and so forth. But you know, Yvonne, it needs money. It needs money. And as you are aware, you are telling a ministry that has a pending bill of 150, 160 billion shillings that now build one bridge. If you were to build even a toll bridge that would take care of Garissa, like the one we want to build in Mombasa Gate Bridge, you would use maybe 100 billion to build a very important bridge. But you know, as I said, we must live within our means. And within our means that we must continue with the reform that we are dealing with in construction and building our infrastructure, while at the same time being cognizant of the fact that our resources are not that much. But let me report this to the people of the Northeastern. We, under our plans with our development partners, we are building 700 kilometers of tarmac road in the counties of Garissa, of Wajir, and Mandera. And we have inbuilt this climate resilient infrastructure to this construction that is going to happen. And I'm sure that we are going to do that. But you know what that resident is asking? He's asking a question beyond my ministry. He's asking as government. What is your response? Yes, right, yes. That's and it's important for me.
And
I'm collectively collectively responsible.
Right.
And I want to tell the citizen from Garissa that I was there last time with the Deputy President. We will be there on Thursday with Honorable Duale. Ahead of us have been many government officials who have come to the place to support. Government already dispatched food items and the rescue efforts that are going on now is being undertaken by our military under the ministry of my colleague, Honorable Duale. So it's not like we are not doing something. Sometimes, Yvonne, it's important to go to a place, but also it's important for the most critical people to be facilitated fast, using the resources we have to go and do the rescue work and to dispatch the food, to dispatch everything. But also it's important for government officials like us to go there and assess the situation to see if there can be higher intervention. And on Thursday we shall be there. But doesn't mean that many other government officials have not gone ahead of us.
All right. In the meantime, because you've talked about the big dam that will cost billions of shillings that perhaps isn't available at the moment. Is there no stopgap measure that can prevent this from happening? Because it would seem the residents, anytime they see rainfall, they know exactly what's going to happen. Yes. What are the stopgap measures that can be put in place to save this situation? Because 3 times in less than 6 months is... And in fact, there's another message here, perhaps I can read to you, that says, as a former resident of Garissa, this flooding problem has existed for more than 20 years since we were children. The government seems to be ignoring this problem. Please ask Sierra's Murkamen why they cannot consider building a longer bridge that will enable people to travel easily, even during the floods. If they built Dongo Kundu in Mombasa, they can surely build one in Garissa. They're doing it.
That person is right. We built Dongo Kundu using about 40 billion shillings. But where do I get the 40 billion now to build in Garissa? So we have to try to live within, the ability we have. They are right that in the future, resources permitting, we should be able to build bigger infrastructure, better infrastructure. And you had asked me...
in the meantime?
Yes, you still asked me, is there something we can do?
Yes.
Can I be very honest with you? The first thing that the government did, and in this time they did it, and you must have seen Professor Kindiki speak about this continuously, and national government officials working with the ministry. The best thing that we ever did in this government was to move people away from the route of the water, because it is just beyond the rains. I told you, when Masinga and Kiambere dams discharge, the devastation downstream is inevitable. And the good thing, the Minister of Energy, and particularly Kenjin, kept updating Minister of Interior and kept updating the public that you must be, now the dams are almost full.
Okay.
And thankfully...
You're saying moving people...
away from the...
But this is a road. That link people.
No, it's not the road that I'm talking about. You had asked me, is there nothing can be done?
I asked in the meantime for the road to make it so that it doesn't break down.
No, what we have done, what has helped Garissa people, however much that it's far, the road that we are doing between Isiolo, Modokashi, coming to Garissa, is now giving us access to Garissa town. At the moment. The contractor who is going to build the bridge, and as I told you, it's already awarded to our contractor, pursuant to the last year's challenges that we had. We did the procurement process and we have awarded the contractor. When the rains subside, they will of course start work, and hopefully it will not rain again until they finish heavily, until they finish the bridge. But so the point is this: we are going to build the infrastructure, but as I told you, we don't have the resources to build the kind of infrastructure we would envy that you see in other parts of the world that can be able to use 50, 100 billion to build something that you can cross and that can be resilient. And that's not, you see, we work here within a particular given budget. And when you have that budget, you plan around the resources you have to make sure that you have something good to be able to deliver, but affordable.
So we'll keep patching it every time?
This is not patching. I told you we are reconstructing the bridge. I don't know if you heard me. And that the contractor is on site.
Okay. Yeah. But that same bridge that you say, once the floods come again...
No, that, of course, you cannot lie. I can't lie to you or anybody that the bridge will be higher than the floods. Of course not. It will always be above it. But we want to build a bridge that is resilient. Even after the water is over, you can still be able to use the bridge. Unlike a bridge that when water, a lot of water comes, is washed away.
Okay. Yeah. What's then the state or the quality of our roadworks around the country, considering we are in the age of climate change? Has there been assessment done by the ministry to determine the resilience of the country's infrastructure to the ongoing shocks of and the impacts of climate change? What does that assessment look like? Do we have a figure? Because, you know, this is where we are now. Not
yet, but that is ongoing. You remember the program we have been doing as a ministry from last year to make sure that we document the level of resilience we require as a result of the impact of climate change. That is an ongoing process. Remember that we came from a drought, 4 years of drought until last year when it started raining. And when it has rained, it has really, you know, been devastating. So the question you keep thinking going forward is that how much budget, what kind of a budget do you need to make our roads more resilient to climate change? And it is huge. that mitigation measures is not just about the quality of the construction. Yeah, it's also, of course, we will deal with the quality, the material you are going to use in construction and so forth. But also we must now be alive to the fact that we must use other mitigation measures like planting trees in the country to make sure that you slow the movement of water. Construction that we are going to have when you are constructing infrastructure like the one of the city of Nairobi, what kind of drainage have you put in place? The city of Nairobi, Mombasa, and other places where you have terrible flooding as a result of the same. So that
when
then
will that
water...
assessment be done, Waziri, of our country's infrastructure?
It's ongoing. The assessment is ongoing.
When do you expect to get the final report so we can then understand,
I think
out of all the roads, highways we have, X% are resilient, the others will need some work?
If we tell ourselves, of course, for sure, if we that's an assessment that we should be able to finish before the end of this year. But at the same time, we will not assess and then sit, okay? Where we have the capacity to correct, you do the assessment, you correct. If it's drainage that you need a better drainage, you can afford drainage, you do the drainage. If it is building overpasses and underpasses, maybe you say, okay, we have this assessment, it needs these billions of money, but let's wait it until when we can have those resources.
There's a question that's come up, and perhaps not to forget it. I want to go back to the airport. Don't worry, we're not talking about leaking roofs.
No, that's okay. I'm happy to talk about the roof.
We're not doing hyperbole, as you call it. But let's talk about the cargo that was damaged, because we saw lots of that, literally, underwater.
Yeah.
Have you assessed the damage of those whose cargo was damaged? Do we know how much of that, what sort of cargo it was? Some of the footage we've seen is for flowers that were meant for export. So what's the assessment of that damage at the airport in the cargo section?
First of all, I want to say that I went there today to tell Pole, the companies that were affected, particularly 2 of the private companies that were affected. And I was very surprised and impressed that first of all, by the sheer size of investment that these companies have put at the airport and the expertise we have. I also were able to hear from them, because these are private companies. Unless they give us their own assessment, we have no capacity or ability to do the assessment, but they told me about a few flowers and so forth. I wasn't worried so much about the flowers and the cargo that was inside there, if you look at it from my own eyes. What concerns me is that they were more concerned about their machines that they use in the terms of automation of moving of goods inside there that got damaged. But, to show the size of investment that they have is for the ability of one of the companies to sort out all that water within 5 hours, and they were back to work. And I think I felt very impressed with them. I'm happy also to hear from them that they have invested in through insurance covers and all that, and they will be able to deal with this issue internally within their own company. So we must congratulate our investors at the airport and thank them, because one of the companies, actually, I went to their infrastructure is a bit, the building is sunken. And when you have your building at a lower ground, of course, there is water seepage and so forth. But they have invested.
So what caused that, that flooding?
Beyond, some of them have shown me beyond the flooding, because the flooding happened. Beyond the flooding, some of them have also shown me the seepages of water underneath. And they have put in place very good mitigation measures.
So what caused it?
For seepage of water.
Seepage of water? Yes.
No, the flooding or the seepage of water?
No, the flooding.
Okay, the flooding. The flooding, of course, was the blockage of the drainage system. I showed today, we went with the camera people and they were able to see it. The drainage system, when it gets to the airport, of course, there's a good drain system, but there's a mesh that is put there. Why do they put the mesh there? Because in the past, there were these people called stowaway. People who come, stowaways. Yeah. They go through the tunnel all the way to the airside, and then they hang on planes, So as part of the security measures that was put in place, because it was at night, all this waste that is collected in the city of Nairobi going through this tunnel blocked the channel, and of course the water, there was an overflow. That was also very impressive, the manner in which our people went in and cleared the place, and within few hours the whole place was
So how will you make sure it doesn't happen again?
What we've decided
what's the remedy
is that,
now?
Of course, I don't know if we should be making this public, but because there's partly security and partly the drainage system, let me say this in general, that we have put in place measures where the channel will be opened when there is major rains, without compromising the security of the airport. I can leave it there only to say the measures that we put in place is so that it is possible to open the channel when there is massive rains, but at the same time you don't compromise the security of the airport.
Okay.
Yeah.
And whilst people would insure their their goods before they're exported, what's your assurance to business owners and traders who will continue to export their goods? Their goods are insured,
yes.
And, depending on what their insurance cover is. But, what's the assurance message that this will never happen again? Because, it was needless, and on their part...
you cannot assure anybody that it will not rain again.
I didn't ask you about the rain.
Yeah.
That's not your purview. You are the cabinet secretary
yes,
in charge of roads and infrastructure.
You cannot.
I don't believe we have a CS or a government in charge of the rain.
Yeah.
I'm asking you about what's going to happen and how you can assure people that the goods that they bring for export, that this will not happen to them again.
Of course.
I'm asking you to give them assurance.
You cannot also tell someone it will not happen again. What you should be asking me is that what measures are going to be put in place to make sure that it doesn't happen, to do everything to ensure that this doesn't happen.
That's what I'm asking you.
But it is possible that it will happen. What we are doing is that, first of all, we are managing now the drainage system. I am glad and I'm happy the other companies did not get flooding inside their warehouses because in the past they put protective measures around the building, their warehouses. And I think that is one measure that they should be able to do it to enhance the protection in terms from water. It's not just the flooding water. There is also seepage. You know, sometimes the water can seep through the ground to buildings. So there is measures that are going to be put by business people. As the airport, we have promised that we are going to deal with the drainage system to make sure that we manage it together. But you may find yourself in a situation the way we found in Mai Mahiu, for example. Suddenly water in a channel that has never flooded before. Some water, you know, having accumulated upstream coming down. So there could be such kind of situations. But as an airport, we are ready to manage our drainage better. But the other question that maybe I should respond to, how do you deal with the drainage in Nairobi? Because most of this water is directed through Mombasa Road before they get to the airport. What are you going to do for the long term? Again, the cabinet today discussed ways of, one, removing people from riparian areas. Because of this, you know, most of the slums are along the riparian areas. And this has created blocking of water channels and so forth. Again, the first thing is to make sure that we clear the riparian areas. Number two is to make sure that we need to have a plan for 50, 100 years for better drainage of Nairobi. Because we are constructing more buildings, but we're using an old drainage system. That will require massive resources and massive planning beyond the Ministry of Roads to an all-government approach, because you will need water channels, you will need roads issues, you will need also to make sure that sewage system is well planned, but also you need both county and national government to work together. We have proposed today in our discussions with the cabinet that an intergovernmental committee will work together to put in place a paper on how we are going to work together with the county government of Nairobi, and not Nairobi alone, Nairobi metropolitan area, because this goes also up to Machakos, to plan for 50, 100 years of our future. But this will need really massive cooperation from everybody, because most of our riparian areas have been occupied illegally, making it difficult for us to drain the water the way they should to Athi River.
All right, CS, I want to finish our conversation with one last question from our conversation here that we have had this evening. You've talked about a lot of work needing to be done.
Yes.
About more long-term measures, what we need to do in the next 50 to 100 years. You've talked about hundreds of billions of shillings, be it for Garissa or, you know, for any other road and infrastructure projects, including, you know, what the work that is going on at the airport. So this is a lot of money. This is all future. The Kenyans are asking, so what happens now? Because a lot of that sounds like, well, we cannot promise this because we need hundreds of billions of shillings. We need all of this. So what do Kenyans do in the meantime?
In terms of the infrastructure, we will fix once the rain subsides, we'll fix the infrastructure, the roads, to the best of our ability based on our resources. Remember, we will be fixing this, but have in mind that we have pending roads, 4,000 kilometers of pending contracts that are, at the moment, the certificates that are on the table waiting to be paid is about 150, with certain claims on top of it because of interest and so forth, going up to 160 billion shillings. So, as a Cabinet Secretary of the Republic of Kenya, I will be a liar and lying to the public to say that suddenly we will build all the roads and we'll do everything. No. We will be economical and we will be careful in the prudent use of our existing resources. Where we have to fix a bridge or a tunnel or culverts and so forth, we will use those resources we have carefully.
Okay. And are you constructing them to be resilient, even as you do that, especially the ones that you're fixing?
We wish we could do that, Yvonne.
So we'll be here again and again.
Absolutely. We just, that's a fact. You know, one conversation that many people never want to face is that everything here talks about money. You know, if I am sitting in my office, and my colleagues in Parliament know that, they have sat and have scratched their heads trying to balance the budget. The president has worked so hard, and the president told the country, and people thought it was a joke, that he is going to move people to live within our own means. Because unless we have ability to borrow, we no longer have even that ability to borrow in the first place. We cannot borrow recklessly. We have exhausted the resources that we have. So the money that we have, we manage it prudently and deliver infrastructure that is commensurate to the resources we have. However, some of the projects, flagship projects that we have told the people of Kenya, like building the airport, expanding the port, dualing Mombasa, Nairobi to Malaba, we are leveraging on private sector through the PPP programs to make sure that these roads are being constructed. Going forward, and when I told Kenyans it is important to dual and toll roads, you know, going forward, if we must raise resources that are going to be enough to build our roads, the future of the country is in tolling. Dualing and tolling these roads. If we dual and toll these roads, the main highways, we will be able to raise resources to expand the infrastructure and maintain and build the kind of infrastructure that we are working, that is going to be resilient. But to the best of our ability, we must be able to first make the roads motorable. Sometimes even make sure that we deliver good maram roads where we are unable to tarmac them, but to make sure that we are maintaining those maram roads based on the resources that we have.
Thank you very much for that. Cabinet Secretary in charge of Roads and Infrastructure, Kipchumba Murkomen. We'll look forward to your trip to Garissa and to see what remedies are there for the people. They seem to feel neglected from one administration to the next. Hopefully there will be a solution for them in the medium and long term.
Just assure them that this is the administration that's going to build 750 kilometers of tarmac road there. Resources already there, contracts already awarded. Okay. And for the first time in the Republic of Kenya, the highway from Nairobi to Mandera will be tarmacked under this administration.
And by when?
Because most of the contracts have been awarded, and they are expected to be done most of them within 3 years.
Okay.
And so 2028, 2027, 2028, you should be able to drive from here to Mandera.
Indeed. Yeah. Time will tell.
Yes.
Time will indeed tell. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cabinet Secretary, for joining us here. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got more news for you. We've got, where are we? Here? There? Okay, there we are. Business news and the day's sports news, plus indeed some other news of the day. This is The Explainer. We shall be right back.